Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Molly. I'm a mum here in the UK of 2 children. My husband and I have a biological 4-year-old little girl, and last year we brought home our beautiful little boy through UK adoption. I'm excited for today's video because I'm doing the adoption tag that the lovely Amy vlog has created for us adoptive parents. I will tag her channel below and I'll put the questions that she's made below as well in case any of you would like to get involved. So, first question, did you adopt through a local authority, voluntary agency? Was there a specific reason for your choice? So we adopted through a voluntary agency. I've done a video explaining this in a much longer version, but in a nutshell, we considered 3 LA's local authorities, voluntary agencies. I requested information packs from them all, had initial contact through the phone with them all, and we only ended up going to one information evening, and that was our agency. And the only reason we went to one is because we loved it that much. We were 100% certain we did not want to adopt with anybody else. And the reason for that was we just felt super welcomed, super at home. The staff and the social workers were so friendly. We felt that we really got on with them. We felt that we built a relationship with the few that had done the information evening within a few hours. And so we felt really comfortable letting those people into our homes and our lives as well. They asked a lot of questions about our biological daughter and were able to explain really clearly how she would be involved in the process, which was our biggest concern. And so we just came away on cloud 9 and we just knew straight away in our guts that we wanted to adopt with them. So for us it was a voluntary agency. Did you engage with traditional adoption or foster to adopt / early permanence placement? So we engaged purely with traditional adoption. We did get asked if we wanted to consider foster to adopt, and mainly because the age range we were going for was not 2 years old, but we didn't even consider foster to adopt because of our daughter. The risk of us bringing home a beautiful little baby and our daughter bonding with that baby and building a relationship with that baby, and for whatever reason, although rare, that baby going back to birth family, we just were not prepared for our daughter to go through that heartbreak or that trauma and that confusion for her at such a young age. We didn't even want to take the risk, so we straight away, said no, we're not going to do it. We're just going to commit fully to traditional adoption, and it worked out just perfectly for us. What was the timescale for your adoption journey from start to finish, with the finish being placement? So ours was super fast. Ours was 7 months from starting stage 1 to bringing home our little boy, or at least like in between 7 or 8 months. It was so fast, and we were prepared for at least a 2-year kind of process from start to finish. That's what we'd been advised because we were in that 0 to 2 years old matching criteria range. But I think it was just really lucky timing. We were coming up to approvals panel just as our little man's profile was being circulated, and I truly believe it was meant to be, just because there was so much in his profile that linked to us and our lives and our family's lives that it all fell into place and was magic, honestly. Our social worker always jokes that she never uses us as a realistic example to prospective adopters because it's just so rare that it does happen that quick. But I hope that we are an example that it can happen. So yeah, super quick. What of yourself do you see in your little one? I love this question. So in terms of me, my little man is super high energy and then crashes just like me. So we're always super busy, and we're both really high energy, and he'll be running around, we'll be playing for hours on end, and then we'll just crash. And when we crash, we both love a big snuggle, a big cuddle. He loves to get snuggly with me. And he loves to snuggle his teddies, and he was never a snuggly child when he first came to us. He hated cuddles, so I would like to think he's got that from me. He's just really affectionate, and I love that about him. In terms of my daughter, he's super cheeky like her. He follows her around like a shadow and just copies everything she does. And so together they are like the terrible twosome, but in a very adorable way. And he does pick up things from my husband as well. Like, my husband is always so happy, like frustratingly happy and positive and smiley. He has like the best beautiful smile ever, my husband, and my little man copies that all the time. Even when he's not there, he's just always doing this one face and laughing and giggling. And again, we didn't have that in the earlier days, and I think that's something that is kind of developed from my husband, which is just super sweet. A difficult part of the process that comes to mind. So initially the waiting comes to mind. Although our process was super short, I really struggled in that waiting where I just felt stuck. Like, we were literally just waiting for paperwork or checks to come back, or like waiting for panel, where I couldn't control like how quick the process was going. That was hard. But emotionally difficult was talking about things that I didn't want to talk about. The adoption process is quite intrusive and intense, and there were certainly bits that I didn't want to go into detail. Things just like, it could be like family issues in the past, mental health problems, baby loss was one of them, like bad choices that I've probably made in the past that have impacted me and my family and my husband, that you have to go into grueling detail of like why they happened, how you felt, what you've learned, how you grieved it, how you recovered from it. And although I've grieved all of those situations, it's never nice to go back into such like gritty detail. But equally I found it quite therapeutic, and because our social worker was super non-judgmental and my husband was super supportive, it could have been worse, but that was definitely the most difficult part of the process for me. As well as, if we're talking about the process or like the entire process, bringing my little boy home was a really difficult day. It should be a day where you think, oh my God, it's the happiest day of your life, and it was super happy, but I was so overwhelmed with sadness and loss. I think for him, just because I could see like the physical impact that he was having in terms of the loss of his foster carer and how emotional his foster carer was, and the loss of birth family and how they must be feeling. That was also a really difficult part of the process for me. What led you to adoption and your motivations? So a few things led us to adoption. I've always had adoption in my mind. I don't know why. I don't have it in my family. I don't have it like, I've not had it in my life growing up. I've just always seen it in TV and in books and always thought that is a really lovely thing to do. I'd be interested in that. And my husband has quite a bit of experience working with children in care and with children in general, so he's kind of been tied to like the care system, fostering, adoption professionally. But baby loss was a big factor. Although we could have had another biological child if we'd wanted to, I think it would have been emotional turmoil for me. So I was ready to close that door and look for something different, which was adoption. I wanted something that wasn't pressured on my body or like my mental, emotional health, and I knew it was the right thing because as soon as I started researching adoption and as soon as we went to our agency's information evening, I just clicked. We just knew it was for us and we were just completely excited by it. The biggest joy in your life because of adoption? What a nice question. So my little man is the biggest joy in my life, obviously my daughter as well, but I just look at him and I'm like, how did I get so lucky to raise you and be your mum and have you in our family, and seeing both my kids play together, knowing that they have joined our family from two completely different stories, two completely different journeys, yet they just love each other so like effortlessly and so like incredibly much. It's just the most heartwarming thing, and the joy that he has brought not just to our lives but to our families' lives and our friends' lives. He's just come as like the most incredible little bundle of amazingness that has just enriched everybody's lives, and he, both my kids are just the biggest joy, and it's purely because of adoption, because we wouldn't have him otherwise. And I think he's just amazing, and he has to be the biggest joy out of adoption for me. Tips to build a support network through the process and beyond. Love this question. So I always say that it's not about how big or small your support network is, it's about the quality of it. Who is going to be there for you? What support are you going to access when you need it? So we were quite lucky that we had a really vast support network. We live near family and friends. We were raised here, we've stayed here. So we have like access to a lot of good community groups and health visitors and people that we've grown up with essentially. But we were really conscious that we wanted to build a more like adoption branch of our support network. So my top tips would be: 1, sign up to Adoption UK and join your Adoption UK community group. Outside of COVID, these are in person, they're full of foster carers, experienced adopters, new adopters, people thinking about the process, and it's all volunteer led, and it's amazing to connect with these people. They've been really supportive with us. Secondly, ask your agency or your local authority for people to keep in touch with. You'll probably be doing prep training with other people and other couples or single adopters who you can stay in touch with. That's invaluable to have people that you can go through the process with. We definitely have like 4 or 5 couples that we've kept in quite close contact with, and it's amazing to catch up with them and know that all our kids will kind of grow up knowing each other and having that amazing like connection in common. Thirdly, get involved with the UK adoption community. Online, Instagram is bursting with wonderful adopters who are happy to help people interested in adoption or going through the process. Just look for the hashtag UK adoption on Instagram and you will find all of us on there. And then last but not least, what we did was we tried to find people in the community who were somehow related to adoption, and this was just through, luckily, my husband's work, but also through word of mouth. There were people that were happy to talk to us about adoption, people that we now meet up with who've adopted their kids or one of their kids, and it's just nice to have those people locally. So there's quite a few things you can do, but they are the 4 main tips that we did, and we very, very quickly grew a big adoption-specific support network. Last but not least, tips for those heading to adoption. So I'd say my first tip would be confident in where you're choosing to adopt, whether it's a local authority or a voluntary agency. You have to be 100% comfortable with these people. They are going to be learning every single detail, good and bad, about your lives. They're going to be in and out of your home, and you have to trust them to tell your story and your lives in a big report that is going to the approvals panel who will approve you to be adopters. So definitely be confident in where you're adopting. 2, throw yourself into the process and enjoy it. You know, commit to the process 100%, be 100% honest with yourself and your social worker. Make the most out of all the learning that you have to do and your homework and your training, get to know other people. Just try and stay really positive. We were super positive and we're excited by every little social worker visit, training module, everything. It was an absolute joy for us to go through the adoption process, and I think that is because we just threw ourselves completely in the deep end. And then I would say my last tip would be do as much independent learning as possible. So the adoption process comes with quite a lot of waiting at times, but immerse yourselves in reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, watching films, speaking to experienced adopters, reading Adoption UK magazine, anything, because you can be building up your learning log in these times of waiting and you'll feel productive, and anything that you do is just going to be compiled into a big learning log to show panel that you have done everything you can to educate yourself to be the best parent possible. I hope you've enjoyed that video. Thank you to Amy for putting the tag together. I love doing that, and I think it's amazing to see an adoption tag going around and to highlight some of the incredible things about adoption. If you do have any more questions or comments, then just leave them below and I'll get back to you, or you can find me over on Instagram at MollyMamaAdopt. I'm happy to help. I get lots of messages from people who are in the process or who are just generally curious about our story, and I'm always happy to answer any questions. Please do subscribe to my channel as well. You can just click the red button below on my face somewhere up here. I will be uploading content, or trying to upload content, weekly. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye!